मौजों की खुद गर्जी में, इस मिट्टी की हर मर्जी में, मौजों की खुद गर्जी में, इस मिट्टी की हर मर्जी में है इंतहा बस इश्क की इस धरती की हर अर्जी में। सांझी अपनी खुशियाँ, सांझी अपनी खुशियाँ और गम एक है, हम एक हैं। इस परचम के साए तले हम एक हैं, हम एक हैं। इस परचम के साए तले हम एक हैं, हम एक हैं।
Hi, I'm Param Riaz. I look after the B2B side of the business at Jazz as head of corporate solutions. I will be the keynote speaker and one of the panelists with my topic as the key initiatives to accelerate revenue growth. I will be live on Monday, 6th of July from 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Pakistan's first ever digital sales conference as being organized by C2 Management Consultants. Please subscribe to their YouTube channel, C2 Management Consultants, and click on the link below to set your reminders. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Atif Murtaza and I'm the Sales Capability Manager at Shan Foods. Sales is all about people management. And what drives people is the passion and the sense of purpose. But how to keep your team motivated during the COVID crisis? That is the key question. And I would be answering all these sort of questions in my insights on the first ever digital sales conference organized by C2 Management Consultants. I will also be participating in a keynote session which is on the topic of building high performance sales habits during COVID-19 crisis. I will be live on 6th July between 4 till 5:30 p.m. Don't forget to subscribe to their YouTube channel with the name C2 Management Consultants for the notifications. Thank you.
Okay, assalamu alaikum, and a lovely good afternoon to all who are here today with us live from all four corners of the world. Since we are live digitally and globally, welcome to Pakistan's first digital sales conference, which is Zooming into Sales, where our focus for the whole week will be on redefining the need for business of sales in the new now. I am Sayyid Afanul Haq, and I am your host and moderator for today, and will be for the whole week from 4 to 5:30 p.m., which is according to Pakistan Standard Time. So set your time zones accordingly wherever you are in the world. We'll welcome you. Now, let me share a little bit about your host. I am a customer-centric performance strategist focused on building relationships by creating value, and would love to work with organizations who would like to accelerate their shift to learn, grow, and transform. At C2MC, our focus is to create profound shifts in the thinking and the behavior of leaders, teams, and entire organizations. Now, before we start, we'll play the national anthem to express solidarity and gratitude, followed by the recitation of Surah Fatiha from the Holy Quran. So let's all come together. And now let's hear it for Surah Fatiha from the Holy Quran recitation.
الله الرحمن الرحيم
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Welcome back. We're proud to announce Dimensions Office as the elite sponsor of this conference. Dimensions Office has been in the business since 1996. Dimensions Office specializes in cater the needs of various industries, including office, health, education, banking, and industrial, and also boutique office space. Their global partners include, but not limited to, Merryfair, which is a Malaysian company, Sunon from China, Rehau from Germany, and Actiforce from Hungary. The major clientele includes, but are not limited to, Unilever, Reckitt Benckiser, B Bank Limited, Surthi and Artistic Garments, Shell, and Chevron, U.S. Consulate. I mean, the list goes on. They deal with top Fortune 500 companies in the country, and they also deal with the top architects in the country as well. Their production and warehouse facility is in Korangi Creek, which is an industrial area in Karachi, Pakistan. One of the biggest orders that they have ever done was around 8,000 shares approximately, which was a USAID project. The national customers such as HBL, which is Habib Bank Limited, have been able to service around 250 million PKR annually. I will now play a recorded message from Maher Shahzad, who is the Director of Sales, to share his opening remarks, since unfortunately he was not able to join live today and he sent his regrets. So let's hear from Director of Sales Maher Shahzad from Dimension's office.
The simple joy of coffee or tea with co-workers in the cafe, sketching out ideas on whiteboards, post-it notes, and digital displays in comfortable meeting spaces. It's the collective energy and vibe of a space full of people united in a common purpose. Though we are successfully getting some type of work done remotely and over video, we are struggling with the generative work that creates new ideas and solves complex problems. And we are missing the intrinsic human experience of working together, face to face, in spaces that were designed specifically to foster the creativity, agility, and innovation that organizations need to be truly productive and grow. But when we return, will these spaces that we love go away because of safety concerns, or will they change? After months working apart, employees now say the main reason they want to come back to the office is to be with other people, socialize, and collaborate in ways that just aren't possible remotely. That's why a diverse range of spaces in the office that support these work modes and collaboration in particular will not go away. What's more, they are likely to be even more desired, but they will have to evolve now and for the near term to meet the new requirements of the post-COVID workplace. Coming together in the workplace to socialize and collaborate will become the greatest purpose that the new office can fulfill. And this is one of the commitments made by Dimensions Office to help and support its customers, bringing back their employees in a safe and non-threatening environment. Hello and Assalamu alaikum. I'm Maher Shahzad and I would like to thank C2 Management Consultants for giving us the opportunity to be the elite sponsor for Pakistan's first ever live digital sales conference. I wish you and your audience a wonderful experience and some great learning and hope to be part of such a forum in the future as well.
Welcome back. Let me share with you why and the purpose behind the sales conference. Our objective was simple. We wanted to have a conference, raise the level of understanding for various organizational professionals by creating awareness that how survival, sustainability, and growth can be achieved with the best possible practices by redefining the need of sales in the new now. We believe that in responding to post-COVID-19, such discussions are very much needed for the business of sales and its transformation. Let me share the outline and schedule for the day, since it will be comprised of 3 panelists in today's session. It is divided into 2 parts. First part will be comprised of 3 keynote sessions with an opportunity for each of the panelists to deliver their own keynote on their chosen topics. They will be speaking for about 10 to 15 minutes. The second part to be followed by a panel discussion and live Q&A. That's when we will open the floor to take up questions from you, so we can ask the same to the panelists for them to share their reflections on it. You can post your questions in the comment section at any time, and I'll do my best to share your questions on the screen. With this, without further ado, I would like to introduce our first keynote speaker, Mr. Khurram Riaz, who has been making an exceptional difference being part of Jazz in Pakistan, which was previously known as Mobilink, for his customers internally or externally, currently working as Director B2B Large Accounts and Head of Corporate Solutions. With over 11 years of experience in corporate sales with dynamic sales management, record of achievement and demonstrated success driving multi-million sales growth and contributed extraordinarily in improving sales team performance. He is an exceptional mentor and a coach who's tenacious in building new business, securing his customer loyalty, and forging strong relationships. Pretty cool, huh? Don't you think so? Good afternoon, Khurram. Let's hear from you. How are you today, sir? You're gonna see him in a minute. There you go. Hi, Khurram. Assalamu alaikum.
Hi, how are you?
Okay.
Walaikum assalam.
Feeling great? Is it raining on your end of the city?
It is actually. It is. It is like not typical Karachi. It was, we were actually in a boil
Right.
before the start of the rain, but it is pleasant out there. I just went there, have a look around, and then I actually have to join you guys. So let's see
Great.
if we can make it more interesting.
Right. It's going to be certainly an interesting evening coming up because this conference is going to spice it up for everyone, hopefully. So with this, without further ado, Khurram, floor is yours
Yeah.
now. All right.
So I think, yeah, thank you. Fan, so I think we can start our discussion with the question that why the new normal wouldn't be like the old normal. So businesses went into the lockdown and came to a grind because of the recent pandemic, resulting massive unexpected disruption, and some of the businesses were even forced to shut down. Similarly, in Pakistan, we are facing a national output loss ranging between 900 billion to 1.6 trillion rupees as per the Ministry of Finance. So we have seen different levels of impact in different verticals, and some of them had a huge impact while others sustained and are sustaining. Verticals like ride-hailing companies, retail, textile, hotel and hospitality, they got a major blow, while on the other side, pharmas, software, and other telecom-related companies sustained. This leads to massive change of mindset and approach in planning and building our strategy for the new normal. So I think it can all start with a bottom-up approach in identifying your customer new needs, designing the product and delivering with agility. So what we learned with this grow your business. When you communicate well with customers, your chances of success in business increase exponentially. It's about understanding the requirements of your customer and do you have the right set of answers to their critical and complex queries. Like how and whom should be contacted in the first place to understand the new work from home phenomena, and obviously the best practices around the world. Second important thing is how flexible you are. A few basic questions include how well you can help your organization to understand and lubricate your internal engine to cater customers' complex requirements. How they explore the team internal, the right partners with a passion to grow, and how internal teams help you leveraging on available platforms and customizing solution according to your customer requirements. So customization is the key. And as I normally say that you just win a Formula One race with a Corolla, even if you're so. Fortunately, in our case, we were after our overall ambition to lead the ICT space in Pakistan with an ambition of digital Pakistan. So since last 2 years, we actually capitalized the largest B2B base we have, and the mantra was more of building agencies around the core business to get more better customer stickiness. Which obviously resulted in growth and more sustainable revenues. And I think this should prevail during the pandemic and after that as well. Third is how agile and flexible you are. So identifying the scope of work, exploiting your assets, leveraging on your partnerships, and finally doing some proof of concept with an open model of customization while designing and testing at the same time. So you, your partner, and your customer are winning together at the same time. That's a beautiful model, and we actually are part of the similar expedition, and that actually takes your relationship with your customer to a next level. With their start taking you as your IT consultants or more sort of ICT consultants, and not just being a normal sales guy. So the element of speed and agility in particular is crucial because this once in a generation challenge is likely to have a profound impact on how and who is left behind when the crisis finally ends. So during the downturn, for example, customers are likely to trade down. That is, buy less expensive products, resulting in big changes at both the high and low end ends of the market. They'll be looking for more of OPEX-based offerings rather than traditional CAPEX models. They would more likely to request you to invest on their networks even as well. So likes of organization may come to the bigger service providers for certain SD-WAN kind of connectivity for their fixed operations to be managed, and with you know other kind of flexibility on their part. So this actually will be opening up more opportunities on managed services side, and this in this context, it's not enough to capture revenues. It has to happen quickly. We are already seeing movers reap significant rewards. And as the digitization is increasing and the B2B modeling of doing business is shifting, it is actually shifting from traditional solutions to more of diverse portfolio of services, where you can capitalize your brand equity and relationship with your B2B customers. I think the balance on building up adjacencies and maintaining the core business is the perfect model, knowing that the new normal may not allow the technology companies to offer the same set of services to their customers. The idea of building an ecosystem around platforms and partners will be the way to increase revenue growth, that's for sure. So from on-the-shelf service provider to a customized ITC solution consultant approach will definitely prevail in the future. A relevant approach in the new normal is to reach out to different verticals with more focused way of looking at their requirements. Digitalization taking the ICT consulting to a new level now, where a more granular level of understanding is required with industry specialists coming in business. Insights and knowledge of particular industry's challenges and digital ambitions will be the key. Every vertical will have a different requirement and will be looking for a more customized set of solutions. So you probably will come out of this on-the-shelf kind of a product approach, and rather than you go and find the scope of the work, you get your partners along, capitalize on the platforms and build up a customized solution according to a customer's side. So I can actually discuss few of the examples during this pandemic where there is a kind of potential, and we think that there is a scope in future to explore, and there is a way of doing or increasing the business. So before the pandemic, reps had predominantly, I'm talking about pharma reps, so they had predominantly face-to-face interaction with physicians to share scientific information and store a consistent supply of their medicines to patients. This partnership with the healthcare community over the years has been a key driver of medical innovation and plays a vital role in the advancement of medical care, so thereby enabling better patient outcomes. This COVID-19 pandemic has transferred these traditional interactions, and with the remote virtual engagements as valuable alternatives. Somehow, majority of pharma companies in Pakistan has just begun their journey in digitalization. COVID-19 has acted as a catalyst, frankly, and that has driven every company to actively identify ways to innovate and engage digitally. Digital platforms have shown to improve the scope of industry's collaborations with physicians and in supporting patient care by enabling 24/7 virtual care, real-time feedback, one-to-many options, simplifying the visualization of data, etc. So the platforms and connectivity solutions give convenience to doctors and the flexibility to make themselves available remotely through webinars, hotlines, or even live video interactions and support remote patient care. Connectivity solutions with cloudification will help ongoing professional education through ways to help them better adapt digital technologies particularly helpful at a time when most countries are in lockdown and access to health is limited. To digitally innovate, we must ask the right questions. What are the needs of doctors and patients? What is the best way to address their unmet needs and make a tangible impact? How can digital solutions obviously help filling these gaps? With an open mind and willingness to experiment, we can apply innovative digital solutions and new technologies in an optimal way to improve patient outcomes. Second, in vertical, I actually want to discuss something which is more sort of a national problem now is AdTech. In mid-March, I guess, schools got closed. Students were sent home to figure out how to learn during this pandemic. And we all are responsible leaders, and I think we should participate in resolving this national problem. If we deliver some value to them in this crisis, we hope we become an essential part of this new building ecosystem. The time this pandemic will be over, digital distance learning will turn out to be a massive opportunity to deal with. And Vertical will definitely be considering more of those companies who are now more serious to this cause and helping them understand and resolve. So this includes connectivity service providers, telcos, tech platforms, and box movers for devices. I think it's going to be a very hard few months or even years for tech companies to build new relationships, understanding the overall phenomena, signing better deals with their customers. And for that connectivity provider, it surely is a different ballgame. They are already in this business with our connectivity over 4G, Wi-Fi devices or internet, fixed network connectivity. So that's schools getting connected, maybe back office or internet. The recent shift to remote work for instruction has left many administrators wishing they could access their tools from anywhere, and that leads to another area of cloudification to increase. And obviously, the need of private cloud service providers will be encouraged. The pandemic has revealed that many students don't even have internet access, and that also leads to an area where 4G penetration can help. They don't have tech tools available to learn remotely. So schools may be looking to invest in affordable and creative solutions, such as low-cost hardware that turns on cell signals. I think finally that the key to EdTech education are three main things: the platform, the connectivity, and the devices. There is a massive requirement as a turnkey solution, and companies can invest to explore, and this can turn out to be a key initiative to accelerate revenue growth as well. Second is e-commerce, and everyone knows about that. I think everyone has been hyping for the longest time that future is online. And yes, the internet has dominated the past decade. But everything was supposed to go online, from grocery shopping to education, while it did not organically. It did not happen organically. That is pretty where we are now. Except the disastrous circumstances in which this change has been forced meant that everyone from providers to consumers of services were caught unawares. But as the demand for online deliveries increase and innovations such as contactless delivery become the new norm, companies are not just ramping up their efforts, but actually changing the way they operate and picking issues in their structures and business model. As far as major player of this industry in Pakistan is concerned, there are notably 2 or 3 of them. I can talk about Draz and Cheetah, 2 companies that deal with different ends of e-commerce industry right now. The first being the country's largest e-commerce retailer, and the later being one of the fastest growing delivery and logistics service providers. That's Cheetah. So both these organizations have seen some serious spike in their sales in past 3 to 4 months, as this increase of orders was going to happen sooner or later as fears about the coronavirus pandemic grew in the country. And while e-commerce companies were quick to make their deliveries contactless, they jumped on the idea of delivering groceries quickly as well. Even Food Panda, which was going to see a rise in demand in any case, with people stuck at home and unable to eat out, was fast to create and launch Food Panda Mart, a contactless grocery delivery service. And while some players in the e-commerce sector have been trying their best to innovate quickly, even the most agile companies has sort of been caught off guard. And growth strategies and plans that they had hoped would phase in over the years. They are but then there is a fact that this is also the time of for e-commerce to thrive. It has its greatest opportunities at a time when all work and physical interaction brings with it great risks. In their case, however, there are also great rewards. So already we are in serious business with e-commerce companies and not only facilitating them with mobile connectivity for their riders, but the
Sorry, Khurram. I think your voice, we've lost your voice connectivity, some connectivity issue here. Try it again. Yeah, we have lost your voice connectivity. Okay. Sorry, Khurram. I think this is just a technological glitch right now. Um, so what we can do right now, Khurram, if we can park your your keynote, the remainder portion of it, and let's bring it back in the panel discussion. That's where you can complete it, if that's okay with you. But great topics, great points that you've touched upon, especially the agile model for the organizations to follow. Right, customization is definitely going to be the key, and how flexible you are going to be with your customers, and how would you come up with the customized solutions moving forward. I think that is definitely, and it's obviously you said it very right. It cannot be said brighter than this. COVID-19 has acted as a catalyst. So we'll look forward to having discussion, continuing the discussion in the panel with the other panelists as well once the keynote speaking sessions are completed. So with this, I would now like to introduce our second keynote speaker, Mr. Malik Imran Ijaz, who's been a business leader with 25 plus years of sales, management, and professional services experience in the technology, IT and telecom, that is, and services industry with Fortune 500 companies like Microsoft, Intel, Alcatel, Zones, and local systems integrators like TechAccess. He has built businesses and led teams selling and implementing solutions for some of the largest B2B customers as well as the small and medium segments. Currently, he is working as Director of Sales in Zones LLC. He also teaches and has taught graduate courses in project management, MIS, and HR at the university level. Headed HR for several years during establishment and growth periods. He spends his spare time working towards establishment of PMIs, which is Project Management Institute of Pakistan's first chapter in Pakistan at Islamabad. He has been acknowledged as a chartered member and was elected as the first chapter general secretary. Now with this, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Mr. Malik Imran. Assalamu alaikum. Imran Sahab, how are you? Can you hear us?
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Perfect.
Thank
How
you,
about
Afan,
yourself?
for the kind introduction.
You're welcome. Anytime.
And it was a
It's a pleasure.
very useful first talk, and I think sets the stage very nicely for what I plan to discuss.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm going to focus in on two key areas. And one is the change that we find ourselves in. And this is a change that most of us were not prepared for.
Yes.
And so that it has certain demands from the leaders, and it has certain demands from the sales teams themselves, as companies figure out what is going to be their standard operating model.
Absolutely. So with this, Imran Sahab, floor is yours, and
Okay.
all the best with your keynote. And then I'll
All right.
catch up with you after this keynote speaking sessions are done. All right.
Sure. Sure.
Floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So, COVID hit us really out of the blue like a bolt of lightning. And as a consequence of COVID, what has happened is that the digitalization move, which started about 2 years back, suddenly got upfront, right up in our faces for everyone to figure out what they're going to do with it. And this, I think, was it eventually may turn out to be a blessing in disguise when everyone has had to helter-skelter gather their forces, see what processes need to be changed. A lot of those changes have been fast-tracked. A lot of those changes have been funded, and they've found management support that have been struggling up until today. So as sales leaders, there are three things that jump up upon us as we find ourselves working with teams who are working from home. We find ourselves working with customers who are not face to face, they are screen to screen or mostly over the telephone. And we also find ourselves dealing with processes that have not been matured, but we have to adapt and we have to move. So it is really it is something that no one can say that they expected and they were ready. However, what we are seeing around is that a lot of the companies have really adapted the new normal very quickly. They are moving and to some of the things that my previous speaker was pointing out, you find that school teachers have adapted this new method of communication very well. In terms of our sales teams, I find three things that really jump up and they claim attention. One is communication itself, both with the customer as well as within the teams, has assumed new importance. What was happening was we had very set processes, we had very set programs in place for ensuring that we reach out to the customers and we are able to convey the offerings and find the needs and all of those things. But right now, I think if people thought it was okay to communicate with their teams at a team level every alternate day, probably now they need to communicate with the teams every day and maybe twice a day. And the reason for that is because while leaders are dealing with uncertainty, the field force is also dealing with uncertainty. And that uncertainty needs to be addressed as we go along on a daily basis. Things can change, things are evolving. So every day, new questions are being asked and new answers are being sought. So it is important that that communication remains live and remains busy. The other thing is a typical mindset that you also find in people is that, oh, because there is COVID, so there's not going to be any business activity and there's not going to be anything that we used to do. That too is something that is very variable from vertical to vertical, from team to team, and from customer to customer. There are customers who in this pandemic have really invested and have upgraded their systems, have invested and uh, have become ready for the new normal. So companies like us have actually been able to provide some of those facilities to those customers and some of those solutions to fast track their move into the digital world. And that to me is an opportunity in this entire pandemic. And there is, the cloud has a silver lining, and we are hopeful that hopefully in the short to medium term, things will start moving back into high speed gear. But for now, like I said, the communication between the teams is very important. The communication with the customer is even more important to find out what it is that they need help for. And like someone said, that you never forget two faces: the face that helped you when you were in trouble, and the face that turned away when you were in trouble. Now, as I look at that very valid observation for all my customers, I find that this is a time that they need help. As sales teams, we are always focused on our quota, we're focused on our numbers, but this is the time to really listen to the customer and find out what it is that they need, and then go after for that solution, and then find that solution and bring it back to the customer and help them out. And really, we've seen our relationships grow stronger with some of the customers. We've seen our engagement grow better with some of the customers. But in order for us to be able to do all these things, the second core theme, the first theme being communication, the second core theme that jumps up at me is around agility. And by agility, I mean being able to really turn the tide, being able to really focus in on what is being said, interpreting it, and acting on it, regardless of how or what we used to do in the past. That knowledge is useful. That knowledge can come handy in some cases, but we cannot expect to apply all of that just the way it is in the new situation. So having that flexibility and having that agility in mind and in approach is extremely critical for sales team to be able to be successful. The third key area and the third key theme that jumps up on me is the growth mindset. I think every salesperson needs to narrow down the opportunity to his specific area, and they do not need to overwhelm everything with the broad statement that because of COVID, nothing is happening, or because of the COVID, no business is growing. You will, there's Zoom and there's Teams and there's all of those things which are growing and which have found unfathomable demand on their systems. But even in medium segments, in enterprise segments, as well as in small segments, you find growth opportunities within your customer set. Now, what is most important in that, while we're searching for those opportunities, what is most important is you look for that trusted relationship that you have, because it is difficult to establish trust in these moving times with new prospects. It is, however, quite okay and quite convenient to focus in on your existing trusted relationships and try and expand the business over there. So best to look in the short term, best to look for growth within your existing customers, and then go out and look for any low-hanging fruit that you can. That approach is going to help your sales leaders. That approach is going to help the decision makers have some growth numbers coming in the short term, and then continue to focus on how you're building your business and how you're growing your LOB, your revenue, your margins over the medium term. So very important, focus in on your customers, continue to remain open, remain agile, remain flexible to doing things in a new manner, and then communicating. In these circumstances, I, for one, would say over communication will be better than under communication. Because the more you engage, the more you discuss, the more ideas open up, and the more issues get surfaced which need to be addressed. So these are the three key themes that I wanted to put forward for the sales leaders as well as for the sales teams, that you focus, you communicate, you remain flexible, and you focus on all opportunities. Do not go with the broad statement that COVID has hurt business. Yes, acknowledged, and we as leaders need to move forward, having acknowledged that yes, there is a reset, yes, there is a new normal, but let's quickly find our feet in that new normal. Let's quickly find our direction and then move with that direction. So with that, I look forward to question and answer session, and I look forward to addressing any key areas that need to be looked into.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Malik Imran Saab. That is a great touch points that he has discussed in his keynote, addressing his keynote topic, which is competing in an uncertain COVID-19 world, where he's talked about agility, growth mindset, focusing into the existing relationships, the most trusted relationships, and then, of course, communication, the challenges with itself, how to build a bond, and perhaps over communication would be better than under communication. So that was Malik Imran Ijaz Saab. So thank you very much. We'll look forward to bringing you back in the panel discussion right after the next last keynote speaking session, which is, let me have the honor of using the third keynote speaker of the day, which is Mr. Atif Murtaza, who is currently working with Shan Foods Private Limited as a sales capability manager, having vast experience and expertise in sales of more than 11 years. Prior to Shan Foods, he was last associated with RB Pakistan, Nestle as National Sales Training Manager. He was also associated with TRG, ACK Nielsen, etc. And currently he is also a visiting faculty member at IBA, which is the Institute of Business Administration in Karachi. He is a learning enthusiast who loves experimenting the new ways of learning. He has good oratory skills and he loves to engage audience to learn something new. He has a dream of changing lives around him by enabling people to live their dreams, which is phenomenal to have Atif Murtaza with us. And it's a great pleasure for us to have him on board at this conference. Atif, how are you? Are you experiencing any?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
Great. Are you experiencing any power outages in your area due to rain?
Yes, there is a power outage. Even my generator has given up. But I have not given up. So I'm sitting in the natural light with some hotspot on. So let's start, inshallah. Thanks a lot for the wonderful introduction. That really means a lot for me.
You're welcome.
So,
with this, the floor is yours.
Thanks a lot. So I would like to establish a connection between Ishq and COVID. I have been a big fan of Urdu literature, Urdu poetry, and the most talked about thing is Ishq. Like Ishq hota sabko hai, kisi ko koi bach nahi sakta, and Ishq na puche zaat, and love has no boundaries. Similarly, COVID has no boundaries. COVID doesn't differentiate between the ethnicities or the religions or the nationalities. It is very difficult to avoid. Almost everyone is going to get affected sooner or later. Some will show symptoms, some will not show symptoms, like lovers. However, it is something new that has happened to planet Earth. So some people have even labeled it as World War III or World War IV or 9/11 on a global scale. But I think it's a new normal. It's a new normal. It's a wake-up call. It has happened because of multiple reasons, that the human beings were not investing in the right direction. We were more into making weapons and other stuff. rather than focusing on technology and science. But however, whatever has happened, inshallah, we will overcome it. They usually say that whatever happens is beyond your control, but how you react to it is under your control. The very famous cockroach theory by Sundar Pichai, in which he said, "Ki there were two women in a restaurant, और एक cockroach उड़ के आता है और एक डर के चीख मारती है, दूसरी उसको भगा देती है." So the cockroach was same, the reaction was different. So COVID is same for everyone, but the reactions are different. Some people have panicked a lot. Some organizations have given up already. Some were not agile enough. Some didn't take the right stance. However, this is the true representation of the VUCA environment, which is volatility. Every single day, since I am in the FMCG industry, I know how volatile it was. Certain areas were being locked down, certain restrictions were being imposed, food category, non-food category, essential items, non-essential items. Every single day we were getting a new notification, and the team had to buckle up and respond to that. Uncertainty. There was a lot of uncertainty. What's going to happen tomorrow? Nobody was sure. पता नहीं खाने पीने की चीजें मिलेंगी नहीं मिलेंगी, incomes रहेंगी नहीं रहेंगी. Similarly, complexity. In a usual circumstance, when in sales you give a certain trade offer or trade marketing support, you get a certain result. But in these circumstances, there was uncertainty. Nobody was sure what's going to happen. Other than that, ambiguity. Nothing was clear. What's going to happen? Where is your air going to land? Nobody knew it. So how did we respond? We at Shan Foods, Alhamdulillah. So the very first thing that we kept in focus was the human element, the human connection, the strongest of all connections. दुनिया में मोबाइल फोन से भी पहले जिस चीज से इंसान इंसान से जुड़ा आया है, that is the human connection. So what we did was the top management, the leadership connected immediately. The connection has to be reestablished as soon as there is a calamity or there is any disaster or is anything which is beyond your control. So the chairman, the CEO, the head of sales, all the functional heads, they connected to their teams immediately. There were town halls, there were discussions, and we supported each other. We were there to watch each other's back. We had to give that surety. Because if you want to connect to your employees, you have to connect to the four basic elements, which is their mind, their body, their soul, their heart. How do you connect to their mind? You connect to their mind by giving them the vision, like we are one of the best food companies and we are serving a noble cause. So there was the noble cause. The vision was provided. The conscience for your soul, that we have a very good purpose, right? Similarly, for your mind, for your body, we had the discipline. There were certain protocols defined immediately that you have to follow these protocols for your safety. Similarly, the last thing, for your heart, there was that passion. So all these things were combined. What we did in the COVID circumstances, the very first habit that we inculcated in our team was the safety habit. We developed a daily tracker, a red, yellow, green tracker, in which we were reporting the COVID or COVID suspects, or even if any of our order bookers had the symptoms, if their family members had the symptoms, any of their relatives had the symptoms, we were noting that down. The red ones were those who had been diagnosed, confirmed. The yellow ones were those who were doubtful. The green ones were those who were clear. So every single day, we have been reporting it to the head office, to the HR. I've been maintaining a central sheet. So the very first thing is the safety habit. The effective sales habit during COVID-19 is safety habit. Number two is your care habit. Show genuine care from your heart. Businesses can be revived, but relationships cannot be revived. Human beings are the most important asset. That is what we did. We were among the few local companies who gave work from home, even for all the field staff as well, for a couple of days and a couple of weeks as well. Because we knew that it is important to keep the team intact. वो एक नारा बड़ा मशहूर हुआ था, डरना नहीं लड़ना है. हम ये कह रहे थे, डरना नहीं, ना लड़ना है, ना डरना है, बच बचा के काम करना है. Because remember, employees are going to make the organization survive. The organization is definitely going to reciprocate. God forbid, अगर organization support survive नहीं करती और employees भी survive नहीं कर रहे होंगे in the material aspect. The third one was the cruise missile habit. I literally enjoy watching the videos of cruise missile hitting its target. It's very agile. It adjusts to the environment. It understands the environment. It adjusts according to the wind speed. It adjusts according to any obstacles, and it delivers the target. That was the mindset. What happened during the few earlier days during COVID? There were market closures. Sometimes wholesales were operating. Sometimes they were not. Sometimes key accounts were operating. Sometimes they were not. Sometimes certain channels were operating, sometimes they were not. So we had to ensure wherever, whenever, however we are able to sell few more packs of our products, we are going to do that. So that was a key habit. I would also add from our previous keynote speakers discussion, uh, the growth mindset. That is what was inculcated. That is the cruise missile habit, that I have to deliver in any case, in all circumstances, and I have to adapt to technology. If I cannot do it physically, there are a lot of team members who experience technology at this extent for the very first time. Uh, some of them were not very comfortable in initial days, but obviously the technology thing helped them a lot. Finally, rapid responses. How rapidly our team members were responding to the queries, how rapidly they were responding to the competition. For example, if you get an insight that the competition might not be operating, so bingo, you have to attack the market. So that responsiveness was there as well. I would also like to top up the importance of habit. Why do we need habits? Habits are something which take you into the automatic mode. It takes you in brainless working. If you are habitual of doing something, you won't have to think a lot, ponder a lot. So that is how these few key initiatives helped us a lot. On top of that, we were very lenient and very flexible and very agile in terms of human resource policies. We supported our staff to the best possible extent. If somebody had the fear of coming to work, we supported them. We provided them the leaves, because if someone has a germophobia, or if someone is not comfortable coming to the work, you cannot push them to the work. Eventually, alhamdulillah, we have been delivering uh, throughout all these months, because the consumers are consuming our products, are the need of the market, especially when the restaurants are off. So Shan is the only savior in the form of good biryani and good food. So that is what has kept us alive. I'm open to question and answers as well. Thanks a lot. That's all from my part.
Okay, great. With this, Atif, great keynote. Loved hearing about some of the habits that you are practicing at Shan Foods, including safety habit being the number one, and obviously doing it from the heart. Totally loved it. Enjoyed the practices within your organization, and then obviously you talked about care habit, and then cruise missile habit, which is a great metaphor that you use as a cruise missile, and using it with your employees. So that's awesome. So you're aware where it's going to hit, and what do we need to react, and how do we need to drive our strategies forward, and obviously agreeing to the other panelists, growth mindset, adapting to the technology with a habit of building, immediately getting back to your customers. So without any further ado, I would like to thank all our keynote speakers, and now would love to welcome them in one room so that we all are together. It's a pleasure to have all of you together on board. So everybody know each other now. And with this, first and foremost, great conversation. Talking about empathy. I've heard this word quite a lot in the last 90 days, and I've been, advising it to my clients as well, the people in the family or outside the family, that, hey, we need to be more empathetic in order to deal with one another, right? Because we don't know who we are dealing with, whether he's gone through a major incident in his or her family, showing some reflections on it. Before you start a conversation, you make sure you ask about their well-being, right? Before you get into the business conversation, right? I think that's also part of the new normal, right? Where business as usual is not as usual anymore, right? And it's again, Malik Saab also talked about building trust, and communication. So I think wonderful, wonderful topic. So I think one of the word which I thought to contribute would be empathetic, which is also going to be the key, and I totally agree with it. So with this, my first question to all of you, considering having a recovery plan and coming towards sustainability, focusing on sustainability, because one of the things that I read, sustainability के लिए, it's not just the survival, right, that we only need to focus on. Organizations need to think about growth with it, right? Yes, Malik Saab talked about a great deal about focusing on your trusted relationships. So Malik Saab, if you don't have thinking about growth in perspective, not trying to find out the opportunities. Perhaps there might be opportunities where your customers may not have been getting a rapid response from their suppliers. Maybe an opportunity for a competition to pick up that business, for example, right? And then also thinking about rapid revenue recovery, for example, right? How would you be able to come up with the strategies in order to focus when thinking about survival? So what really stands out is how leaders approach the activities needed to drive revenue, right? At a scale that makes a difference. But because of COVID-19, how have you addressed rapid revenue recovery plan, and have you really identified or prioritized the opportunities or challenges, right?
Definitely, Irfan, I'll take it up here, and I think one thing is certain, that the situation is also not going to remain like this forever. So that too is a reality that everybody needs to keep in mind, that we will not be stuck in our homes forever. The businesses will not be frozen forever. A lot of them are not even now. And once that reality sinks in, then you always got to have two plans. One for what we are doing right now and what we're going through right now, and one for what is going to come afterwards. And that afterwards, for a lot of companies, is not very far away. We were already, my folks in telecom and IT sector who have already been professing the need for digitization across the board for all verticals. And that digitalization effort has been hampered and has faced certain barriers, which really have been blown away with COVID. So while all of that was happening at a very slow pace, now the pace of change has become very fast. And because it has become very fast, so it's not going to remain the same for very long also. So we got to prepare the next phase, which is finding these same channels of communication, but making them more effective, making them more engaging, and reaching out to customers that we are not reaching out to today. And that is the second set of customers, second set of prospects with various qualifications in various verticals, in various market segments that we got to tap and we got to reach out to. But like I said, very important that, just like in a marathon race, the previous runner has to hand over the stick to the next runner, who, if he's not already running, they would lose the race. So the second runner who's going to accept the stick from the previous runner, he got to be running before he accepts the stick. So we got to be prepared for the next phase before it sets in. And that means having the right communication channels, observing the patterns very clearly, very important skill right now. Observing the patterns which are emerging in various set of segments, in various set of customers, and using those patterns to configure our products, to configure our services, to configure our offerings, and hitting the board running in the second phase. So we are looking at what we are doing right now, but we are also looking very aggressively what we are going to do next. And that next is going to come from those people who we are not engaging with right now, but hopefully they are going to be ready to accept the same digital channels and then start engaging with us. So market is going to
Absolutely.
grow.
Absolutely. And you touched upon again a very key point, emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Salespeople, I always say we are in the business of transforming individuals to become sales professionals, right? Anybody asked me in my last 17 years, I think that's one of the things that key thing that always stuck with me, that's what we love to do, right? Because they don't teach you've been teaching at universities as well. They don't teach sales at university level or colleges या schools में कोई नहीं पढ़ाता. तो एक सेल्स का बंदा बेचारा आता है यूनिवर्सिटी के में जब तो एक आध कोई कोर्स पढ़ लेता है, right? So you don't become a sales professional by getting a course for 4 months from a professor, right? तो फिर उसका एक जर्नी शुरू होता है, 10 साल उसको लगते हैं by the time he really gets to the know how कि sales होती क्या है, कैसे होती है, और ये customer relationship है क्या, trust building है क्या. तो emotional intelligence is going to be the key. एक article में HBR का पढ़ा था जिसमें उसमें लिखा था कि by 2030 all of the product sellers will be disappeared from the market. ये आज से कोई 2 साल पहले की बात है जब मैंने ये article पढ़ा था. I can refer you which one, inshallah, in the future discussions. And COVID-19 की वजह से, I think that time has come a lot more faster. अब 2030 की जरूरत नहीं है. I think right now in 2020, as soon as we got into a new decade, it just hit us on our face, right? So अब product selling को replace करने जा रहा है e-commerce, right? जैसे कि आतिफ ने भी इस पे टच अपॉन किया, आपने भी टच अपॉन किया, एंड आई एम श्योर फोरम ने भी इस पे टच अपॉन किया. सो solution sellers are now going to be left behind. So the solution mindset, the talk about growth mindset, the talk about adapting to the technology. There was a couple other things that I was reading earlier on, which was a startup mindset, right? Person has to think about how to drive customer playbook, right? Thinking about what customers now value, and design obviously new use cases and customer experiences based on those insights. So that's absolutely right. With this, Khurram, I don't know if I can hear you. Sorry, Khurram, you would like to add something? Sorry, perhaps you're on mute. Not sure. I think there's a connectivity issue, audio issue with Khurram. Perhaps you can try it again, Khurram. No, still no audio. Perhaps in the meantime, Atif, you would like to share something, your thoughts on rapid revenue recovery plan?
Definitely. See, we are an FMCG organization. We have to rapidly respond to the way the shopper is behaving. Then we have to prioritize our sales plan accordingly. For example, during the initial days, there were panic buying. A lot of people were going to modern trade. A lot of people were purchasing from bigger outlets, and they were hoarding the bigger packs because that was sort of an emergency situation. लोगों को पता नहीं था आगे क्या होना है. In those days, we preferred definitely. Yeah, we can hear you. You're back.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I disturbed you.
It's okay, perfectly fine. So the shopper behavior has evolved over the time. During the early March, April days, there was that stock up mindset that we have to stock up a lot for the near future, for the catastrophe, for the bigger judgment day sort of thing. However, later people have realized that we can do shopping safely. So they have reverted back to the smaller packs or the regular channels. So we have been fishing where the fish is. So wherever the shopper is preferring, we have implemented the AND strategy, weighted plus numeric. Initially, when there was a limited window of operation, we tried to apply the Pareto principle that whatever the weighted accounts are, they should be filled in properly. They should not go stuck out. Once the teams have had that liberty to operate freely, now we are working on the spread, we are working on the coverage, we are back to the basics, we are back to the fundamentals. So पहली चीज ये थी going back to the fundamentals. Like New Zealand की pitch पे होता है कि you go back to the fundamentals, स्ट्रेट बैट से खेलना है. तो जब टफ सिचुएशन
Right.
होती है तो FMCG में भी you definitely have to go back to the fundamentals, the basics, the opportunities and challenges. See, the opportunity which we identified was number one, the evolved GTM strategy, RTM strategy. फूड पांडा के साथ हमने पार्टनरशिप की है, हमने बाइकिया के साथ पार्टनरशिप की है, हमने दराज के साथ पार्टनरशिप्स की हैं. तो माशाल्लाह से हमारा ई-कॉमर्स डिपार्टमेंट फॉरेन जो है वो फुल टॉप गियर में चला गया और उन्होंने वहां से अपॉर्चुनिटीज को कैटर करना शुरू कर दिया. सिमिलरली, whatever opportunities we have found through any other channels, we have also capitalized them. The challenges were initially the information challenge. सबसे बड़ी बात ये थी मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन. लोगों को फियर बहुत ज्यादा था, लोगों के पास नॉलेज लेवल नहीं था, किसी को हो भी गया तो वो शुरू में शायद बता नहीं रहा था. तो टीम्स को हमने कॉन्फिडेंस दिया, मिस इन्फॉर्मेशन चैलेंज को हमने कैटर किया, प्लस टेस्टिंग के बारे में बहुत सारी मिथ्स थी कि जी सरकारी इदारों को बताऊंगा मुझे उठा के ले जाएंगे, ये होगा वो होगा. अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वो चीजें बेहतर होना शुरू हुई हैं, लोगों की नॉलेज बेस बेहतर हुई है. वी developed daily checklists, we developed Urdu tutorials, we developed Urdu videos to educate our people. Once the education level was improved, alhamdulillah, cheezein bahut behtar hui.
Mashallah. Thank you very much.
I think,
you were saying that.
Afan, I hope you can hear me now properly.
Yes, perfect.
So
Welcome back.
One thing I actually wanted to.
I think Khurram, there's
touch
a lag
base
or
with you was
right, go ahead.
the culture of.
You can bring him back, or is he gone? Okay, Khurram, I think a little bit disconnected with you again, and it's probably because due to the power outages and
Yes.
internet connectivity issue. Okay, so we'll take the next question from the live audience because I'm sure there are few already. So in the meantime, by the time this question is shown on the screen. Okay, so how can brands reposition themselves and shift to digital channels, products, and services, and open up another front in the battle for new and existing customers? Your expert views on this. Perhaps, Atif, you want to.
Too many questions in one question. Brand repositioning. The very first question: why does the brand need to reposition? If it is necessary to do that, then go for that. Otherwise, I'm not in favor of reinventing the wheel. If your brand is doing good, you don't need to reposition it. If your brand was something which was an out of the home consumption sort of brand and you want to reposition that for in-home consumption, then you might need to reposition it. Digital channels, yes. The screen time has more than doubled in Pakistan, according to the recent reports by Google, APAC, and others. So definitely you should invest more on digital channels. Products and services, why not? Because digital has evolved a lot exponentially. In the battle for new and existing customers, see, in FMCG, the existing customer definitely needs your on-shelf availability. And even for the new customer, you need to have that on-shelf availability of your product inside the store and at all the digital marketplaces, like on Daraz and other places. You need to have your product available readily for the consumption. That is in the FMCG industry. For B2B, definitely you guys can better comment.
Yes. Sorry, Khurram, I'll just
I think,
yeah. So previous question was on rapid recovery action plan, and then of course the new question with regards to rebranding. So your thoughts?
So I think on the B2B side of the business, what we have learned is that it is probably one of the ambitions which we were trying to, we were following since a couple of years now. That is to come into the ICT space, the space where we say that we will go in a consultancy kind of a manner. We will not go and sell our solutions which are on the shelf. It's more sort of customization according to our customer requirements. And when we say that, it is the CIOs and CTOs of the organizations which normally talks to us, and they have certain complex kind of requirements. So it is more not the rebranding yourself, not to rebrand yourself, but it is more sort of how you position yourself within the industry. So I think we've been trying to do that as well, that being a one-stop shop kind of a concept with an ecosystem around platforms and partnerships. So if you have certain partners, you have that kind of flexibility where you are, giving them the exposure of the largest base, B2B base in Pakistan, and they are eager enough. They don't have that kind of financial muscle, but they have the technology and they have those expertise, and then kind of the aggression they carry around. So that can be, bundled together to create a proposition for the customers, especially in this age of digitalization where everyone is looking around for someone to come. They are actually looking for a silver bullet
Right.
when it comes to devices, when it comes to connectivity, when it comes to platforms, when it comes to other enterprise solutions. So you actually have to come out of that typical traditional selling to more sort of customized and consultancy approach for your customers. That in sense, probably a customer. So this will be a major change which I'm actually expecting in as an industry, that customers will be looking for OpEx based offerings. They will not be looking after certain CapEx based models, and that is how I think organizations will come into play with a certain value along with their solutions. So
Absolutely.
this could be a perfect model. Yeah.
Thank you, Khurram. Malisab, do you have any thing to add?
No, I think it pretty well covered. I will go to the second question about positioning yourself for the new customers. It is even I'll bring it down to the grassroots level. Your local grocer, if he has the ability to deliver goods to your place, he is the prime supplier for all your needs now. And that is a trend that I'm seeing when it comes to all of these things happening. Those people who have developed that capacity. So he said that if you want me to pick up your laundry and deliver it to you, I can arrange that. He's got people on bikes who can arrange that delivery. So I see him in a very growth mindset, where he knows that now the game is not about just the product itself and the customer will go get it. The game is now more about who has the ability to get the product to the customer.
Right.
And that in itself is a growth area for a lot of businesses in terms of distribution, in terms of being able to provide those goods to the customer, and that is evolving as a service. And I think when it comes to shifting to digital channels and products and services, of course, this is what we've been talking about in the last hour, that this is the new reality. The earlier all businesses adapt, the better it is for them. The mindset is extremely important, that you have to accept that these changes are happening and you got to find out your place in these changes. And that in terms of training your manpower, that in terms of...
I agree with your point as well, sir. So it's probably, it's the culture within the organization and where leadership plays an important role. And as you know, as they say that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So whatever the strategy you build, if you don't have that kind of a culture around which eliminates fear, where people are more innovative when they speak, there's less of insecurity out there, then that makes an organization to even get out of these kind of pandemics easily. And that we have seen as Jazz, that the kind of culture within Jazz is around, and the leadership played a marvelous kind of a role out there. That how they create the awareness, not about only about the pandemic, but how to cope up with this kind of situation. It's not a number game. It's more sort of how you get out of this situation, looking after opportunities as well, and how we can innovate and how we can look around and see that what technology we can adopt or what areas we can look into to reap significant rewards.
Very interesting. You just touched upon training, Malisab, and then Khurram was talking about in general, having the people to behave in a certain way, which adds up to the culture, right? The culture that prevails in the organization. तो मेरा एक बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल मुझे ऐसे जहन में आ रहा था कि सेल्स अगर किसी की हैबिट बदलनी है या किसी की हैबिट डालनी है, तो द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज इज विद सेल्स पीपल. सेल्स टीम्स की हैबिट्स को बदलना आसान काम नहीं है, भले वो जैज में काम कर रहे हो, जोन्स में हो या शान फूड्स में हो. सर इस बात से तो सब एग्री कर रहे हैं, राइट?
अच्छा, मैं एग्री भी करूंगा, एक छोटा सा कमेंट भी ऐड करूंगा. देखिए, मैं सेल्स वालों का बड़ा पुराना रिप्रेजेंटेटिव रहा हूं, हमेशा से आई हैव वर्कड इन सेल्स, और सेल्स वालों को बेचारों को बड़ा देसी समझा जाता है और बड़े ये समझा जाता है कि म्यूजिक सुनते ही नाचने आ जाते हैं. देखिए, चैलेंज ये है, दे यूजुअली हैव अ डिस्कनेक्ट फ्रॉम द, दे आर वर्किंग इन फील्ड्स. वो लोग बहुत दूर दूर इलाकों में काम करते हैं. वो बेचारे जिन गलियों मोहल्लों में आज जाते हैं, आप जाएं तो आपको पता चलता है. तो थोड़ा सा उनका ना वो हेड ऑफिस लेवल की कम्युनिकेशन उन तक किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में नहीं पहुंच पाती. रीजन बीइंग दे आर वर्किंग इन द फील्ड. वो बेचारा शाम में लैपटॉप खोलता है, ईमेल देखता है, उसके बाद वापस. हम जैसे लोग, आप जैसे लोग दिन में कई दफा टाउन हॉल्स और चीजों में ज्यादा शरीक हो रहे होते हैं. अब मैं वापस आपके सवाल पे आता हूँ, सेल्स वालों की हैबिट चेंज करना. सर कंटिन्यू करें.
तो वो जो सवाल था ना, वो देखिए, सेल्स का दर्द मेरे दिल में, अल्लाह का शुक्र है, हमेशा से. I've been associated with sales and operations for over 17 years now, alhamdulillah. And but there's one thing that I've experienced personally, and that's why I'm putting it out and on the floor for as part of the discussion. Sales habits build karna, especially in the quickest time frame, and following the agile mindset. How difficult has it been for all three of you? Have you experienced certain challenges?
I think it's as I discussed earlier as well. It's more sort of the responsibility of the leadership as well to create that kind of environment where people are more engaged, where people are they have this kind of habit of sharing their problems rather than going for solutions. And then there are areas where so constant training and their development is an area where you actually can groom them over the period of time, and that is something which is ongoing, should not be stopped during the pandemic or any other way. So you actually talk about your values, you talk about your culture, you talk about the norms of the industry, and then they come up. So I see salespeople are more adaptive than any other, kind of workforce you have within the organization. And whenever they come back, they come with a very practical approach, and that needs to be considered when you are actually planning, you are building up your strategy, and then you are going for an execution. So at times you create that kind of culture where you start believing that if you push something to those people, they probably will not understand that. But it is matter of fact, either you are challenging, your inability to understand, or maybe you have not hired the right kind of people within the organization.
Right, and I think that's Ji Marisa.
Afan, I think all said and done, and sales is a species that is most adaptive to circumstances.
Right.
Because sales wale ka survival, his survival is in being adaptable and flexible. Anybody who has a fixed mindset does not belong in sales. He cannot survive for long, and he cannot make a career.
Totally agree.
So because even if you are into canned sales approaches, every customer by itself is a new customer, which has his own mindset. He has his own priorities. He's going through his own circumstances, and you got to adapt your canned pitch to even, from one customer to another. Even when you have the same pitch for every customer, you change the tone, and then you again do the same thing. So very important that I think, and in my portfolio, I also look after sales enablement, and I've been teaching at the university level also, and I've managed sales teams. I can tell you, salespeople are very sharp people. They pick up the trends. They pick up things before anybody else sitting in the head office can identify this is happening. Now, the question is whether what they pick up in the field is translated back to the head office, is translated back in terms of impacting the policies, impacting the plan, and impacting the way we do business. that comes back to the same thing that I pointed out in my keynote. Communication in these times is very, very important. One of the core questions that I used to ask my teams, and I still do in this post-COVID situation, was what customer conversations happened today? You know, you want to pick up on phrases, you want to pick up signals, you want to pick up what terminologies were used, what words were used. And if somebody used to broad brush, you know, as leaders, it is our duty to distill that to the bare basic and then ask, no, what exactly
Absolutely.
did he say? What exactly did, you know, was discussed? And that really leads you to what's happening in the customer mindset, because you're not sitting with the customer now, you're talking to the customer. You're not.
It feels like almost you're trying to say, sorry to interrupt, you're trying to say, Imran sir, that in order to sell, you don't have to come across as a salesman typically, like the way you used to be before, right?
Definitely, you won't sell if you're a salesman. You will only sell if you're a friend.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And I think if you your chances of success in business increase exponentially if you start going for a bottom-up approach. That's what I actually discussed as well. So bottom-ups are always then when you go and directly talk to the people who are in the field and who know the sentiments of the market as well, your product value, your pros and cons, your strategy. Believe that, and if you still think that this is not to be believed, then probably you will miss the overall growth train. And I think, you know, it's more sort of the phenomena which was old now, which is old now. This because it is more sort of startup mindset when we talk about. It is more sort of every person who wants to be either an entrepreneur or maybe if he's actually starting up a business and the workforce around them. You see, in startups, everyone is a salesman. Every other person, either that is a technology guy or a finance guy, whoever is responsible for an area, he is actually doing sales. He is actually trying to contribute in the success of the organization, going in front and, you know, getting the customer vibes, getting the feedback from and building into a kind of a meaningful information for the organization to plan out their strategy. Right. That's something which is already changing, which is a change now, and I think will be with the over the period of time that helps more in businesses to grow.
I would like to add a very important aspect to this thing.
Sure.
We all in sales talk about building trusted relationships with customers. I think it is equally important to build those trusted relationships within the teams themselves.
Yeah, absolutely great point.
And the management needs to trust what the feedback it is getting from salespeople.
Definitely. I would like to add one just small bit in all of this conversation. आपने बात की ट्रेनिंग और बिहेवियरल चेंज की. देखें, ट्रेनिंग इफेक्टिवनेस जब गेज की जाती है, 4 लेवल्स होते हैं. लेवल 1 होता है द ओवरऑल ट्रेनिंग फीडबैक, दैट हाउ वाज द डिलीवरी. नंबर 2 होता है द रिटेंशन, द लेवल 2 फीडबैक. लेवल 3 इज द बिहेवियरल चेंज. लेवल 3 तक ले जाने के लिए यू नीड कोचिंग, मेंटरिंग एंड हैमरिंग every now and then. Yes, it's a long-term process. The line manager has to walk the talk. For example, even if we are having a meeting on Zoom, if someone is not wearing a mask, I would stop the meeting there and I'll advise them to wear a mask and then come onto the screen. In that way, they will be aware that wearing a mask at all times is very important for us. Like in Nestle, we used to have that BBC reporting protocol in which behavioral-based compliance, if someone is not wearing a seat belt, the line manager or any colleague would definitely lodge an email that you were not wearing a seat belt, please take care. 2012 से आज तक मैं आज काली पीली टैक्सी में भी बैठ जाऊं तो मैं सीट बेल्ट ढूंढ रहा होता हूं because of that habit. So that constant coaching and hammering is very important.
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful. So just keeping in the time in check, it's 7 minutes to 5:30. I'd like to take a quick another question, and I think this will add to the conversation here. So one of the question is from it's actually now on the screen. How do you test your remote workforce personal commitment to contribute on the days of higher demand? Who would like to take?
See, I came across an interesting terminology, which was ROWE, ROW, Results Only Work Environment. See, if the numbers are speaking for themselves, I would not put a check and balance के जी आज आप पतलून पहन के मार्केट गए थे, आज आप सलवार कमीज में गए थे. If someone is able to bring the good numbers in the compliant manner within the prescribed guidelines, देखिए how part ठीक होना चाहिए. सिर्फ what पे focus कर लिया, so I'm not a leader. The how part should be intact according to the organizational guideline, according to the organizational culture. If that person is bringing me the numbers, I should not doubt on his commitment. The higher demand definitely is being reflected across Pakistan in certain categories. For example, like hygiene and personal care, they are experiencing extraordinary demand. Surgical gloves and masks, they are experiencing extraordinary demand. Certain medicines, anti-allergies, they are experiencing an extraordinary demand. So if your
Essential.
salesperson, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. If your salesperson is bringing according to the average or above average, then you should not doubt the commitment. If he or she is performing below average, then you might ask few questions. But मेरा एक मानना है जी, नियत हमेशा आपकी साफ होनी चाहिए. मैंने बसेस के पीछे विजडम लिखा हुआ हमेशा देखा था, नियत साफ मंजिल आसान. टीम पे ट्रस्ट करें. मैं मलिक साहब की बात पे एग्री करूंगा. टीम पे ट्रस्ट करें. वो कहीं दूर दराज बैठा हुआ मियाँ चुन्नू में, मियाँ वाली में, सखर में, भक्कर में, वो बेचारा मेहनत कर रहा है. सो ट्रस्ट ऑन दैट पर्सन. वो आपके लिए नंबर इंशाल्लाह ला रहा होगा. डोंट यू वरी.
I think I actually want to add on this thought as well. I think you need to give a meaningful goal to your team as well, because if that is clear enough to them, and if that message is conveyed to them clearly, they will come out of the overall KPIs you set, and then obviously trust element is something which is very, very important. But a very clear, meaningful goal actually motivates people driving towards that, rather than you keep on pushing them hard, and you keep a lot of checks. You keep on checks and balances, and you keep on doing that. It will never end, and probably you'll never get the result out of that. So it's basically how massively you change mindset and approach of people in terms of taking your goal forward or taking a collective goal. And that should be very clear to them. If that is around and you celebrate the success with them, and then you stand with them for their failures, and you start celebrating their failures as well. And that's always comes with the overall organization culture as well. So I have seen organizations where there are a lot of checks and balances, but they are unable to achieve what they are trying to do since for a long time now. Same strategy, same kind of workforce, because in technology sector or any other sector, people keep on moving from one place to another, but massive kind of difference in people's behavior when it comes to how you inculcate those kind of goals to them.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you very much, Khurram. Now we have 3 minutes, gentlemen. I would like to give a minute each to all three of you. If you can kindly quickly share, what have you learned in the last 90 days? What experiences, based on everything that you've faced, what is one key message that you would like to share with the audience? Malik Sahab, I'll start with you.
I think the key learning is the same. You have to be positive. You have to be proactive. You know this is not going to last the way it is right now. This too is going to change. There was a saying with I read somewhere. It said, and there's a story to go with it. We don't have the time for that. But the saying is, "This too shall pass." Now, and if you look at one of my LinkedIn updates, I think that was the course topic of my first update after COVID, that this too shall pass. And there will be there'll be good times coming, there'll be better times coming. There is still growth in areas that we don't know of, perhaps, but there are growth areas that are happening. You just got to stay positive, stay engaged, and communicate.
Yes.
So these three things are very critical.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Khurram, yourself?
Yeah, so I think this overall pandemic is kind of a blessing in disguise for the industries as well. It's what you say that one of the disruption reason is the disruption itself. So you can be disrupted, and overall industries are getting disrupted as well. This pandemic is acting as a catalyst. We need to start thinking about what will be the next normal. Our approaches, our strategy, our planning needs to be aligned accordingly. And that leads to a question.
I think from your voice connectivity, again, we've lost you. Sorry. Try back again until we switch to Atif. Atif, before
Yes,
we put him back, yes, please, your key takeaways in the last 90 days.
my key takeaway is definitely put people first. Your people are the most important asset for your organization. They have done wonders for you and they will continue doing wonders for you. Start caring for them, definitely. But you have to provide them all the means to perform these jobs, all the technological support, the ability to do this. अगर किसी को कोई technological platform use करना नहीं आता, you have to provide them the right training, right tools, and accountability. The accountability part is like we have provided you all sorts of support. Now you should reciprocate as well. So the three takeaways are means, ability, and accountability, which is the MA framework by famous Aspush Kitama, the famous consultant. और मेरा मानना ये है कि जी 3 यकीन दिल में ज़रूर रखें। एक अल्लाह की ज़ात पे यकीन कि वो हमेशा आपके साथ है। दूसरा अपने ज़ोरे बाजू पे आप कुछ भी कर सकते हैं, चाँद पे भी जा सकते हैं, मार्स पे भी जा सकते हैं, रॉकेट पे वापस लाके लैंड कर सकते हैं लाइक मिस्टर इलॉन मस्क। और तीसरा अपनी प्रोडक्ट्स पे यकीन कि हम जो कुछ बना रहे हैं, जो कुछ बेच रहे हैं वो अच्छा है और अगर अच्छा नहीं है तो प्लीज़ वो ऑर्गेनाइज़ेशन से कहीं और चले जाएँ बिकॉज़ ये तीसरा यकीन भी बड़ा ज़रूरी है।
Absolutely, absolutely, well said. Khurram, yourself, sorry, you continue your thought. We lost you. Can we hear you? No, I think we still cannot hear you.
Afan,
Audio.
I'll fill in for Khurram for a
Ji,
little while
ji.
if he can connect. Just a quick
Yes.
remark. Remember this thing that the sales teams are also a reflection of our society and they're a reflection of the humanity at large. So you have all sorts of people. You have proactive people, you have not so proactive people. You have people with positive mindset and you have people with not so positive a mindset. So it all moves along that bell curve and you got to see the leaders will drive themselves, the laggards will need help, and those in between will follow the trend. So this is very true of sales teams also. So when you get the right culture
Very nice.
in, that the people in the middle, they will shift to the leader's mindset very soon if the culture and if the environment is there. And I've seen that shift happening so many times with so many teams. You bring in the right leaders, they will drive things and they will start focusing people's abilities and habits and everything else. And over time, you will see that an average team will start performing like an above average team.
Absolutely. Khurram, are you back? Can we hear you?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
if you can
Sorry,
hear me.
it's probably been a little
So
bit
it's-
frustrating for you, right?
Yeah, it is actually. So I was actually discussing the overall disruption which is happening right now, and we know for a fact that the course of doing business will not be the same in the future. There'll be a new normal, and we actually have to. So digital ambitions need to be followed. We need to start realizing the fact that this was supposed to happen someday or another, but this is happening now. Now, if that is happening, it is a kind of a blessing in disguise for every vertical to understand how digitalization will impact the overall course of doing business in future as well. So planning, execution needs to be aligned. And how we can do that is more sort of getting a bottom-up feedback from the market, from our partners, from our customers, start looking around the technologies which are in place right now. Do talk to the technology companies who have this kind of an idea. We have examples of Blockbusters and Netflix and the others. So I think that there is enough material to see and understand that what is about to happen and what is happening right now.
Well, with this, thank you very much, all three of you fine gentlemen. You are definitely true scholars and gentlemen. Appreciate hosting you. It's been a phenomenal experience for myself. I'm sorry it was only an hour and a half, 90 minutes for us to conclude, which we are hopefully able to, add some value for the audiences. And inshallah, in the future, we'll look forward to continuing meeting in a virtual environment until the new normal is expanded into really a new normal. All right. So thank you so much once again, gentlemen.
All right.
Welcome, Afan.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot
Been a
for having
pleasure.
us.
so very
Thank
much,
you.
Afan.
Good luck and be safe
Thank you,
and
Arif, and thank you,
stay
Imran.
healthy. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Allah
Bye.
Hafiz. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.